Reprise de débat. The honourable member for Courtenay-Alberni.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. First, Madam Speaker, it's a huge honour today to rise on behalf of Bill C-352 on abandoned vessels, and I'd like to thank the Member of Parliament for Nanaimo Ladysmith for tabling this very important bill and for proving that not only is she a strong steward and champion for our environment here in the House of Commons, but also it follows her community work that she had been doing in our communities, in our coastal communities for decades as chair of the Islands Trust and in her many roles in our communities. And I'd also like to thank former New Democrat Member of Parliament, Nanaimo Cowichan MP Jean Crowder for her work in Parliament for more than a decade on this issue, Madam Speaker. There's no doubt that the NDP and our coastal community MPs have led the charge for healthy oceans and for federal leadership in addressing abandoned and derelict vessels. Madam Speaker, Bill C-352 is important for the environment, important to the economy, for coastal communities, for several reasons, Madam Speaker. It would end the runaround and finger-pointing by designating the Coast Guard as the agency responsible for directing the removal and recycling of abandoned vessels. And this is fundamental, Madam Speaker, when dealing with abandoned and derelict vessels. It would get taxpayers off the hook by fixing vessel registration and creating a fee to help cover the cost of vessel disposal, like in Washington State. It would prevent vessels from becoming hazards by piloting a turn-in program at safe recycling facilities, Madam Speaker. It would be great for the economy. It would be great for green jobs by supporting the local marine salvage businesses. And perhaps most importantly, it would build a coast-wide strategy in cooperation with local and provincial governments in service of our constituents as coastal people. And these key points, and they're all key to this bill, Madam Speaker, were derived from more than 15 years of work and advocacy by local stakeholders in coastal communities in British Columbia. I cited the MPs from the past, Jean Crowder, and the current member from Nanaimo Ladysmith, and the work she's done working with individuals, organizations, local mayors and councils from my riding, from Tofino to Qualicum Beach, Madam Speaker, through the Association of Vancouver Island Municipalities, and even a resolution that was supported by the Union of British Columbia Municipalities, Madam Speaker. This bill reflects their concerns and their priorities, but the government's response to Bill C-352 has been totally inadequate and undemocratic. In fact, it shut out coastal voices, Madam Speaker. Instead of thoughtfully examining Bill C-352 and offering amendments and allowing a free vote, this government has chosen another path. They decided to table Bill C-64, which it's a significantly different bill that does not take the advice of local, regional, and stakeholders who have been engaged on this issue for 15 years. It is not without merit, but it has some huge gaping holes. For instance, the government's bill, C-64, does not create nor define a national strategy to deal with abandoned vessels. It has no turn-in program or a cash for clunkers incentive for owners who may be at risk of losing or considering abandoning their vessels at sea. And finally, while Transport Canada admits that there may be thousands of abandoned and derelict vessels along our coastline today, there is no mechanism or plan for clearing this backlog. So unlike the government's bill, Bill C-352 directly deals with each of these glaring weaknesses, Madam Speaker. And yet, in despite of all of these differences, this government made an effort to defeat this bill before it could even be debated. Madam Speaker, as I close, again, I want to thank my colleague, my neighbour from Nanaimo Ladysmith for bringing this issue forward, for working and cooperating with other parliamentarians. And again, I just want to thank her for her good nature and her commitment to progressive cooperation, getting results for her constituents in all coastal communities. And I really want to thank her for urging all MPs to provide unanimous consent to move the government's bill along to help our coastal constituents as quickly as possible. In closing, Madam Speaker, again, I want to thank my colleague for her incredible work, for bringing coastal communities together, for bringing this forward, for demonstrating once again that she's a leader and we're leaders as the NDP in defending coastal communities.